The Birds are back. In the bubble anyway. The Eagles on the practice field today, full squad, most of it in front of the cameras for the first time ahead of the 2026 season. Jalen Hurts getting work in with the new OC Sean Mannion, plus the receiver room reshaped with the impending trade of A.J. Brown looming, and a pair of former Pro Bowlers added on defense in Jonathan Grenard and Reek Woolen. Expectations sky high for the Birds this season, and we would not have it any other way. As we welcome you here to Birds Huddle, presented by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL. Alongside Barrett Brooks, I'm Amy Fiddle. And B, you were out there today, so what'd you see?
What didn't I see? I saw guys running around, and it was just a new way of looking at them. The offense looked totally different from what I've seen, even more different than I saw when I was in 2024. But this offense, I saw a whole lot of motion. Quarterbacks lining up under center, on defensive side of the ball. I see Grenard going to be an impact player. Woolen's going to be an impact player. I see so many guys playing and looking like they're going to, be performers in this offense and defense, and of course the regulars, Cooper and those guys, they're looking amazing out there, looking fast. Yes, they just have a helmet on the shorts, but still they look great in the helmet on the shorts.
All right, shirts and shorts and shells. It still counts.
Yes.
Listen, we're desperate for football, so we're going to take whatever we can get.
Yes,
and this is
sure.
what we got today. So following the practice today, we got to hear from Jalen Hurts for the first time since January. Here he is on his new offensive coordinator, Sean Mannion.
Yeah, it's been a really good process so far. He's come in and he's very clear, giving good direction. You can definitely see the vision, been able to answer all of my questions. Very instructive, very helpful. So it's been a very enjoyable journey so far. It's exciting. It's exciting to be able to learn the new brand of football, get new perspective, and just grow.
Just grow. That brings us to our three-point stance presented by Toyota. Stance number one, Jalen Hurts will thrive in this new offense. All right, so he's not the most, effervescent guy when he's talking about stuff, but you can tell he is genuinely excited when he talks about some of the things that you were mentioning, like motion and things.
No, you saw the difference in the offense. I hadn't seen anything this different in a long, long time. Guys that are going in motion, they were crossing over the center. It wasn't the orbit motion we saw in 2024 when we were like going Google and Gaga over that. They were actually throwing to running backs. They were actually having motion that crossed past the center and allowed the receivers to go out there scot-free because they did a lot of head up on the defender. I saw a lot of stuff. Lining up under center means so much from the aspect of how you run the ball, especially in this running game. You saw guys, talking about the trap blocking that I talked about in the very beginning, that people really didn't understand what I'm saying. You actually saw it, even though the offensive line, defensive line did not have pads on. You saw how they were trying to block a space instead of blocking a guy. They're no longer trying to blow guys off. Of course they want to hit guys and drive guys, but if they come in their space where they are, they latch onto them and then they drive block them. They don't look for guys to be just, driving them off the ball. You have to run it within the framework of the system. That's exactly what I saw out there. We saw running backs getting involved in the passing game. You saw different, guys, they had, different personnel packages, but the guys were lined up differently. There were times where the wide receivers were inside the tight end. The tight end was in the slot, and the tight end was outside the slot, and then you had the slot receiver in the middle, and then they're running routes off that. This is all new and innovative stuff we haven't seen with this offense. So yes, I am excited. I want to, I can't wait for tomorrow. I can't wait till we see them in camp. I can't wait to see football coming in because you can see a decided difference in how they're running things. You can see the newness of even with the defensive coordinators running, because he now has quality guys who can go out there and be that second one. Woolen is a beast. He's a real man. This guy's 6'3", 3.5, 210 pounds. But he might be the fastest player on the field. You could see it. It was impressive seeing how this guy ran. And, even Mitchell looked like he's going to be Pro Bowl again. His feet are so quick. He looks the part of being one of the best cornerbacks in the country.
Ooh, everybody's excited for this one.
Oh, yes.
Stance number two, the Eagles finally addressed the A.J. Brown situation publicly. It's been long reported that Brown will be dealt on or after June 1st, likely to the Patriots. Today, both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley were asked about Brown's situation.
If AJ is traded, how would that affect the offense? How would that affect you?
Picked the right question to sip on, huh? I think for us, we're focused on learning the offense. It really doesn't change in terms of our approach to improve. There's an if. Obviously been a lingering thing, but nothing can replace all the greatness that we achieved together.
Jalen, a lot's been made of your relationship with AJ in regards to his trade. Where are you two at, I guess? I know friendship and competition.
Yeah, nothing's changed since we last spoke. At the end of the season, we're really good, and I saw how beautiful the pictures came out at his wedding. I'm very happy for him and his wife and his family, and it's a beautiful thing to step into covenant. So I was very excited and congratulatory towards that.
I think if you it's going to be a hard time for me to say anything bad about A.J. Brown. I'm a big fan of A.J. Brown, one of my really good friends, one of my favorite teammates I've ever been around. Just respect him as a man. But this is the business. It's the NFL. If I'm not here, if Jalen's not here, if, whoever's not here, the show goes on.
Obviously, Saquon knows that firsthand. His time with the Giants. But, there's some interesting comments. I did appreciate that Jaden at least acknowledged that he was taking a sip of water, maybe timed poorly or aptly, I guess. But what'd you make of what they both had to say about AJ?
One guy didn't stop the show. Yes, I'm going to say this. It's going to be dramatically different not having AJ in the fold. Him not being there, him being an impact player the way he played. He was one of those guys you could throw on a slant and get a first down anytime. He was, the security blanket that Jalen had for the longest, the last 4 years. So him not being there, this offense will be affected because I can't lie. If he was in this offense, in the new offense that I'm seeing right now, he'd be even more explosive. He's not going to be here. So, hey, they're still looking explosive even when he's not here. But, you can't change the fact how good of a player he is, how impact player he can be, and what he is to this offense. But I do see some newness in the offense that, teams are going to have to be really, really on their P's and Q's trying to stop these guys, especially with the offense that I see, culminating right now over there at the practice facility. These guys are looking sharp right now. Even though it's a new offense, they're running it, they're fast, they're quick, everybody's getting in and out of huddle. They're making the right calls, they're making the right reads. Things are going well over there and while they're practicing. And it goes to show that, it was really, really good that they were allowed to, get this offense and get molded in this offense as they go forward. So I'm excited to see how Lemon's going to participate, how all these guys are going to fit in with the new Mannion offense is going to be.
Well, speaking of, that brings us to our stance number 3. The Eagles are ready for life without A.J. Brown. We know they drafted Mekhi Lemon. They have Devontae Smith, of course. We should note Dontavian Wicks not at practice today, but how confident are you that they have enough in that receiver room to replace A.J. Brown?
They definitely have enough. They have more than enough. They have a lot of guys within the, framework of how they're going to run this offense to be very, very successful. We don't even talk about how good Saquon is going to be in this offense, especially with them now thinking about throwing him the rock, featuring him on screens. This guy could be even more explosive than he was. And then you look at the receivers that we have. Lemon is really showing that, he is quick enough, and he's supposed to look that quick without pads on and almost unstoppable. Smitty's looking unstoppable. He's out there running routes wide open, and these are guys that can cover or trying to cover him. So you can see the difference on how this team is going to approach this season. It's no longer be one of these offenses, all right, we're the best team out here. We're going to run a rock and run it down your throat, and you can't stop us. No, now we have some variations that you got to think as a defender on trying to stop us. Now it's not okay then, yes, we can bully us, but now we have guys running around. Now you have to focus on how do you stop us. So, it's going to be a totally different mindset on how defense is going to try to stop. You got to really get your thinking cap out, and I see guys going to be running free a lot in this offense because all the motions are underneath center. It's going to be an explosive type of offense.
They're not going to call it predictable, right?
Non-predictable, yes.
We're going to go with.
No
we'll
more
hear that
predictable.
word this year. No way. Nick Sirianni's first 5 years as Eagles head coach stack up with just about anyone all time. 5 playoff appearances, 2 trips to the Super Bowl, and, of course, 1 ring. Now he looks to get back there with yet another new offensive coordinator, this time in Sean Mannion. Today, the head coach spoke on what he's seen from his new OC.
Sean's done an awesome job thus far, and just really like the command that he has in front of the room and the conviction that he has in front of the room and the knowledge that he has in front of the room. I'm not sure I've beat Sean in here yet this year, and I'm not sure I've left earlier than him, or I've always left earlier than him to this point. Like he grinds and he does what he's supposed to do and works really hard at his craft. And so like you admire that.
Well, it seems like Mannion has been making a good first impression on the head coach. I like that he's, kind of the first one in, last one out type of vibe. But he has a lot of things that he's trying to implement. So what did you make of what Sirianni had to say?
Well, I mean, of course he's going to say it was stuff that he has, to do to, get accustomed being a guy that's a play caller now. This is his first time doing it. So there's a lot of stuff he has to, download just with himself to make sure that he gets it to his coaches and his coaches can get it to the players. They're getting his scheme, how they're going to do it. And yes, they're going to see, a little bit of the old offense that they had, because you got to implement, anything. You can't just take all the Sirianni stuff out of it. But you can definitely see how this marriage could be very, very good, because there's so many things that are opening up. So Mannion has to be there a little longer than everybody else just to get everybody else on the same page as he's on. Mm-hmm. See his vision. See which way he wants to go.
Burning the midnight oil, get everything going right. Let's check out, believe it or not, let's play this favorite game. Believe it or not, looking at some key Eagles on defense. First up, believe it or not, B, Jonathan Grenard will register 10 or more sacks this season.
Oh, most definitely more, and I just saw it by his work ethic. He's out there, and I'll tell you what, during the times he wasn't in the game, wasn't in practicing, on the field, he was running. he was actually over there running with the special teams guys. They had the punter, the kicker, the long snapper, and, Mike, the special teams coordinator. They were running sprints across the field in between plays with the offensive defense. He was out there running with them. I saw a couple times he was running around just trying to, get himself in the type of shape. And that's just him understanding he has to be a guy that's going to be counting on going into this season and being a major factor on how this defense is going to go. And you can tell he's taking it seriously just by how he's trying to condition himself, get himself ready to go in and play, the majority of the snaps. He's going to have to be that lead dog, and I can see him doing it very, very easily. So, yes, I thought he's going to be 10 or more. In fact, he's going to be way more than just 10 sacks, way more than 10 and a half sacks. Yes, way more.
Believe it.
Yes.
All right, next up, believe it or not, Reek Woolen will lead the Eagles in interceptions this season.
That might be tough, though, because we definitely had some dogs on that side of the ball. Now, you look at it, even though we know we're starting to get, guys in the practice of catching the ball instead of, beating it up with their hands. But I think Mitchell's going to, become one of those better DBs that you throw at him and he's going to make you pay for it. He's going to get a lot of interception. But I tell you what, Cooper's going to be right there with him, and so the Jeans say, hey, I want my fair share too. But Woolen will definitely be a part of that, because, pick your poison as offensive coordinator. You're going to throw at one guy? I wouldn't throw at Mitchell. I would throw at him. And that means he's going to step up and be that guy to go out there and get those interceptions. So this could be a possibility. I think I'm going to go – I can't go even. I got to say, believe it or not. I said, I'm going to go with believe it.
Oh, I like it.
Just because they're going to try to pick on him. So I'm going to say believe it.
He's going to make him pay.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Jalen Carter will be the highest paid defensive tackle ever. Not at OTAs today. Currently, of course, extension eligible. You wonder why that maybe could be kind of muddying the waters there. But the high water mark for his position is Chris Jones, who's right around $32 million a year from the Chiefs.
Oh, he's going to break that easily. And
highest paid ever.
Oh, no, he could be the highest paid defensive lineman ever from a 3-technique position, undoubtedly, because he's going to deserve it, man. And especially the way he's been working out, and I'm seeing the videos and how he get them shoulders into shape, he's going to be even more explosive. Yes, he will be the highest paid, and very shortly, too. And it may only be for a cup of coffee. It may only be like 15 days. It'd be the most, highly paid. Because that's the way they're doing things. They're paying guys. He's going to set the benchmark, but he will be one of the highest paid. He will be the highest paid for at least a cup of coffee.
We believe it, folks.